It's just people, like you said, they don't see the signs of it. And yeah, for me, a lot of people, they wake up one day and they're like, oh my God, my dog's got a real problem.
Right.
And they think that he just went to sleep last night and woke up this morning and that was there. But they started it, you know, weeks and months before. We get puppies in here that are, what, 12 weeks old? This already has a lot of problems.
Oh yeah,
you know?
oh yeah.
It's because people, there's just a lot of people say that you should keep your puppies with you and you should pet your puppy and you should bond with your puppies and stuff. But
well, you do think you should bond with your
well, you
with
should,
your
but
puppies.
not the way that a lot of people do it by keeping them in their lap and petting them and hugging them and holding them and letting them jump on them, letting them chew on you. You know, you just keep giving them all that affection and attention. It's like you're just getting them to where they can't breathe without you in their space, you know.
I think a lot of times people think separation anxiety is like you're saying you can't put the dog in a crate. But then people will say, my dog doesn't like the crate.
Right.
And then separation anxiety is where your dog is so obsessed with you and addicted to you that, like you said, they can't breathe without you. They think they might.
Yeah,
If they can't, they're so addicted to following you everywhere where you go. You always reaching down and petting them. You always being there to touch them. You always talking to them. That we get dogs that come into the round pen and the people are trying to talk to us, and within 10 minutes the dog is escalating because the human is no longer paying attention.
All the time. All the time.
And people think that the dog really likes them.
Yes.
And they can't see it as a behavioral health problem. Like your dog is unhealthy mentally if it is obsessed with you and addicted to you, and it can't be okay when you go to the bathroom.
Yes. And you can take a dog like that, like for us, it would be easier for us if we wanted to have a good conversation with the person who brought their dog in and had these problems. If we just let them sit down somewhere and let their dog get in their lap, and they could just pet them, then we could have a conversation.
Totally, yeah.
Where the way we do it right now, which we're talking about changing it next year if we add on a little bit, but where we have, like you said, the dog's standing there on a leash and the person's trying to talk to us, and the dog's jumping on them, it's pawing at them, it's barking at them, it's whining at them.
Sometimes starts to chew on them.
Yeah. If people don't pay them enough attention. Yeah. So the separation anxiety is so bad, but I think that the signs of it, like you said a while ago, is one thing. If you can't walk out of your house without your dog whining and bawling and barking because you left him, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's a big sign right there.
Yeah.
So.
And so there's, and when you're looking at what separation anxiety is, there's like light separation anxiety and then there's severe separation anxiety. So some of the things we talked about, plus barking and whining, like if you go outside to check the mail and your dog barks and whines, you have separation anxiety. Crate chewing, where they just gnaw at the crate, and if you can get your dog to go in the crate, that doesn't necessarily put you in the category of my dog doesn't have separation anxiety. Because if the dog can go in the crate, but it whines and barks and paws at the kennel door and is really upset being away from you, it doesn't mean because you can get it in the crate, you don't have separation anxiety.
Or if it's sleeping in your bedroom in the crate by the bed.
True.
And it's being quiet.
Yeah, and a lot of times people will think, well, my dog sleeps in a crate at night and then it stays home and I leave all the time. But that's way different than you can go drop your dog off somewhere and he's okay.
Right.
And you can take vacation and board your dog somewhere and he's okay. You can have the vet take him back into the room and he's okay. And so if you can leave your dog at home and you crate your dog at night, you're still not necessarily in the category where you don't have separation anxiety.
Yeah, for me, a lot of that is if you could stand there and have a conversation with somebody without your dog just annoying you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and we don't get a lot of those dogs.
And destruction. Sometimes you leave the house and your dog eats a whole couch. Your dog might have separation anxiety. And then, like, really severe, your dog will break teeth if put in a kennel. It will have severe diarrhea. upset stomach, that's like when they get it really, really bad. Where I remember when Scout first came, he had a half moon of drool in his kennel when he was away from me because he was so stressed. He just panted and panted and panted. And now he like sleeps and doesn't care at all. But he was addicted to me. So next we'll talk about what causes it.
All right. So what causes it, we touched on earlier some, but it is the fact that I feel there's like a zillion and one things that causes it. But the biggest thing for me that causes the separation anxiety is people buy a puppy and all they want to do is hold it and hug it and carry it around and let it sit on the couch with them and it sleeps in the bed with them. Or sometimes they put it in a crate right by the bed, which is not a bad thing. So, putting a puppy by a crate by your bed is not a bad thing at all. Sometimes it really helps you get a night's sleep.
Totally, yeah. You just at some point want to wean some of those things.
Yes, you want to start getting away from that. And sometimes, whenever you have a puppy and you're just at wit's end and you can't figure it out, even with us here a while back, we have a puppy that's too little to take outside at night when you have 4 or 5 inches of snow. So you've got to figure out what can I do to prevent it. Treadmill is a really good idea. Get them some good quality exercise. You take them outside to go potty, and train on them in your house. Put a leash on them and walk them and set them and place them. And there's one ways. Because then you're being a leader. You're not just their play buddy that hugs on them and pets on them and holds them all the time.
Right.
So you've got to entertain the puppies somehow, and I feel, in a way to train them, And anytime you can get them a good quality exercise, and then you start crating them and you leave the room, and don't go to work for 8 hours, come back, leave them for a little while, come back, get them out, do something fun, train on them, play some ball, let them chase you around in the yard, whatever you can do, or through the house, whatever you can do. Me personally, I don't like to use the house as a playground.
Right,
But sometimes if the weather or whatever, you got to do what you got to do.
For sure.
Because you can always take that back out of it.
Right. Well, and if you don't have to use the house, we'd rather create the house to be an environment where the dog just remains calm.
Yes.
And then later on, once their foundation is that the house is where I be calm, every once in a while you can have a crazy day where you're playing in the house, but you can shut it off like that.
But the puppies is really hard until you get all their shots, to take them out. I mean, you really got to be cautious where you go with them. And, but to prevent the separation anxiety, for me, we raise a lot of pups here, not a lot, but I have in the past. Now we have one around quite often, but I think letting other people handle your puppy. They don't have to school on them, they don't have to train on them, but just let other people handle them and let them get away from you. If you got a friend that'll keep them, overnight, let them stay overnight somewhere. Just do different things with them, and so they're not just right there in your lap all the time. And a lot of that stuff will prevent the separation anxiety. I feel that sometimes it's harder on a person than a dog.
For sure.
The person don't want to let the little puppy out of their sight.
I have a harder time being away from Scout than Scout has being away from me.
Yes.
Way harder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just makes it, like my dogs, Mari and Bear, they could go with anybody and be happy. They wouldn't be as happy as they would be here, but they won't have the separation anxiety. And I think that to prevent the separation anxiety, like I said, is to do things, especially once you get all your shots in your puppy, take them places to do things, but be a leader and make a mind.
Well, you can start with something so simple as teach your dog to lay on a dog bed over there while you're over here.
A puppy.
And and then holding them would if people could learn how to make simple leash corrections and hold a puppy accountable to staying over there some, then that you're breaking that barrier of I'm addicted and have to follow you, I have to follow you, I have to follow you. And there's so many terms in the dog industry right now where people are like, oh, he's a Velcro dog. And it almost like I'm proud of this unhealthy thing my dog has.
Well,
he's a Velcro dog. He has to go everywhere.
We get puppies here usually within a day or two. They're not mouthing on us, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that anytime you can make a correction and it be positive at the end,
Yeah.
you know, without being mean, of course, but you really teach your puppies to start, I feel, enjoying their time with you
Right.
in a good way.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just like, oh my God, you're here, I gotta hold
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you're here, what are we gonna go do?
Yeah.
And I say that a lot with kids too. You know, kids, if you go outdoors and do things with them, it makes them sometimes a lot stabler. I'm no kid, whatever you call that, but with the dog, it's the same. If you can find things you could do with them to let them have fun, whether it's on a nice walk, you know, like you said, placing them over there on a bed.
Right.
You're over here reading a book. Once you get them going, then you sit around the corner so they can't stare at you.
Yeah.
I mean, then you're really getting somewhere because you're teaching that puppy that we're in a house, but you don't have to stare at me.
Yeah.
You know, and teach them when you come in the door. They can't be jumping all over
Right.
you know.
Right.
I mean, all of this stuff really helps them because of the fact that as soon as your door opens, they're not there in your space, you know.
Yeah.
So, and it is a lot of work.
That just prompted something that I think causes it a lot of times is when people do go to the grocery store and they put the puppy in the crate only when they leave or at night. And they put the puppy in the crate and they're like, oh, bye, I'm going to be back so soon.
Yeah.
I miss you. And we make this event, I'm leaving you. And then you go and you come back and, I'm back, oh, good boy.
Yes.
And you just like create this, it's traumatizing the puppy that you're saying, this is a crazy thing. I know I shouldn't be leaving you, but I'm leaving you, and then I'm leaving, I'm coming back, rather than crate, gone, back, normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for me when you come home and your dog's just doing backflips and cartwheels and you go get the treat jar.
Yeah, you reward that.
And you say, sit, and they sit, so you give them a treat.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're basically
it just
saying,
escalates it.
you were so stressed out when I was gone.
Yeah.
Here, I agree with you.
I'll give you something to eat. And so a lot of things like that can prevent this separation anxiety.
With puppies.
Yes.
And then,
well, even older dogs,
well, yeah,
if you rescue
if they
one,
don't have it. Yeah. So what about if they have it? They're 2 or 3 years old. That's old. I mean, even if they have it at 8 months old, but they're not a puppy anymore.
we get them that from
And they
5 or
have-
6 or 8 or
Yeah.
10 years old
Yeah.
that have it. You
They
know?
have it, and they're addicted to you. They don't like you doing anything other than hanging out with them. They can't be away from you. They have to follow you to the bathroom. They try to hurt themselves when they're in the kennel. That's a severe episode, but
The perfect,
What
for
can you
me,
do?
the example for that is shelter dogs. We get a shelter dog, we bring them up here, but they've had separation anxiety, and it's gotten so bad that the people's rehomed them or give them to a shelter. You know?
right.
So it's fixable, you know.
It
I mean,
is.
it's a lot of work, and it's really hard if you raise the puppy from 8, 10, 12 weeks old, whatever you got it, to 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and it has separation anxiety that bad. Some dogs that have it that bad will bite people for getting close to you. You know,
Yeah,
it's
some
kinda like-
also own the people and resources.
yeah, it kind of all comes together when you get to that age. But normally, for me, from what I've seen with it, is it's really hard on the owner.
Way hard.
Usually it's harder on the owner than it is the dog.
Yeah.
If you send the dog to a trainer, and we do a lot of this with separation anxiety dogs, if you send the dog to the right trainer, it's going to be so hard on that owner. Because sometimes they're like, I can't be away from my dog that long.
Yeah.
Whenever they say that, that's automatically key that, man, we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad whenever they can't leave the
Yeah.
dog. You know, we've fixed a lot of dogs with this, but for me, if you have a dog that you've had and it's 2 or 3 or 4 years old and it has separation anxiety really bad, send it to the right trainer, you know. And I don't know how many of the right trainers there are out there, you know, because I don't look up dog trainers. But I know, like I said, we fixed a lot of them. But normally for me, if I'm going to fix a dog like that, I'm going to get it away from the owner. because we have two problems. The owner has a real hard time being away from the dog. Dog has a hard time being away from the owner. And every time we bring you here for a lesson, we take a chance getting bit. So, and the owner does.
But also, it's just what would it entail for an owner to fix separation anxiety?
I was going to say, if an owner is going to fix it themselves, they really, I think, have to learn how to discipline their dog in the right way.
And hold them accountable.
But in the right way, if you hold them accountable like we would, a lot of times they would bite them.
Right.
Because that owner's always been that one that doesn't have free
Let's
rein.
say we're talking about a dog that wouldn't bite.
Well, to get away from it, spend more time away from it, teach it to place on a place, lay there while you walk out of the room, you know. You start by just getting inches away from it, you know, because a lot of these dogs in your house or anywhere, they're not going to let you go very far. So you've got to start somehow creating a distance, for me, without just locking them in a crate.
Right.
If you just lock them in a crate, that's not
bed.
really counting. Start with placing them on the dog bed. And start with making them heal, because some of these dogs that have separation anxiety, they either don't heal really well or they're glued to your leg and they won't leave your leg.
And here's the thing about not locking them in the crate. If the owners have to take such baby steps and don't know what to do when things escalate, and so if you put the dog in the crate and the dog tries to hurt itself, you're going to quit. You're going to be like, no, this dog's going to have separation anxiety forever, and I'm just going to accept where we're at because it's too emotional to work through those things, which is why we do board and train. But if the owners start with too difficult a step, they won't win, and then you have to quit, and then you go backwards. So start with the dog bed.
But you go backwards yourself mentally, you know, because it's so
not even the dog.
Yeah, it's so draining on the person. And it's hard. I'm telling you, I don't even know. I can't name a dog. Off the top of my head, but that we've had that's been really bad is 2 or 3 or 4 years old, and the owners fixed it themselves.
No, not with separation anxiety. No.
And have they? I'm sure, you know. But we've had aggressive dogs here that would bite you, that people's fixed with doing 1,000,001 lessons, you know. But that's a whole different world than the separation anxiety world. The separation anxiety world is just so hard on people and dogs.
Well, it's separation anxiety mostly, always. You really created it.
Yes.
And so
dogs aren't born with it that I'm aware of.
You're like, you are tequila, and you've created them to be addicted to tequila, and you're trying to get them to quit drinking it, but you have to hang out with them all day. You have to train on them. You have to take them out. You have to take them to go potty, and so that's another sign of separation anxiety. If you go to the back door and you tell your dog to go potty and they can't go potty without you going out there with them, you might have separation anxiety.
Yes. And it's just really hard for, and we could go on for weeks and weeks and weeks about separation anxiety, what all can trigger it, what all you can try to use to fix it. If you have a dog, and sometimes you rescue a dog that had separation anxiety with a person in the past, and when you rescue it and take it home, you really cuddle it, and you just create it that day.
Right.
They go right back to it. So,
especially when you take it home and you cuddle it, like right next to your heart, like it's in your womb, and now you have a puppy that might have been weaned at the breeder or at the shelter, but now it's got a new mommy that it's latched onto, and it could be a male or female, but it's latched on, and now you better hurry up and get that puppy to wean.
So it's really hard whenever the separation anxiety plays in a dog, and I mean, we could do probably a lot more videos on that, but we just don't, because it's like, I don't know, to me it's kind of all the same. You know, you've created a beast. I mean, it's just like, can't live without you in their world. And people, like, they take them everywhere they go, you know. They take them to the store, they take them to everywhere.
It's so hard because you should take your dog places and get them used to traveling in the car and get them used to going different spots and traveling and all those things. But if you 24/7 have the dog with you and you haven't put in any of the work to have it away from you, like laying on a dog bed in another room, then you're going to have problems.
But if you train the dog, then I'm sure, you can take the dog anywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes when you have an older dog and you get too carried away with that, you're going to start getting that symptoms that I could be getting into trouble.
Oh, faster. Yeah.
Because you're not, you have a cool dog, trained really well, you start slacking on the training, and then you just start spending a little bit too much time with it, staring at it and looking at it and drooling over it and thinking about how cool a dog you have. So.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got now?
That's it.
So, how long have we been on here, Brett?
You've been on here for about 30 minutes. Let me give you the exact time. 32 minutes.
So, do we have any questions?
No, we don't.
Okay.
No. Nancy said good morning.
Good morning.
You got a bunch of people just coming in and
Oh,
out.
good morning, everyone. We never did, I guess we did say good morning when we started. So, but if you don't have nothing to add, we'll just jump off.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to end this one and keep an eye out for our podcast. We're going to try to start doing more of them. And y'all enjoy your day.